So, exactly how many ways can you play a C major chord? A lot. Far more than I can even count. To beginner or intermediate players, the shock of realizing for the first time exactly how many positions are available on a guitar might look a little something like this. This, of course, being due to the same notes being located in multiple locations across the fretboard. Let's start by breaking down a C major chord a little more closely. A C major chord has three notes, a C, an E, and a G. If there's anything else in there, you have a different chord entirely. It's worth noting that these notes correspond to the intervals of a major third and a perfect fifth above your tonic, or your root note, which is C. But fortunately for everybody, memorizing intervals is not necessary for this video, so lucky us. And the good news doesn't stop there. Here's the fretboard and the location of every C, E, and G. So technically you only need to play one of these C's, E's, and G's in order to have a C chord, and not necessarily even in that order. So now you can see just how massive the scope of your options truly are, but while it's wise to be able to find any combination you may want to use at any time, for this video, we're going to be focusing only on a specific set of positions, so nice going Neo, you dodged another bullet. First, let's take a look at the most commonly played C chord, and the one which new players are likely to learn first. Starting from the 5th string, we have C, E, G, C, and E. What's perfect about starting with this voicing is that it's in what is called root position, meaning the notes are in sequential order starting with the tonic, C. Now, let's expand this a little and look at inversions. An inversion is basically taking the lowest note of a chord and putting it on top. For C major, that would mean taking the C and putting it on top, leaving us with E, G, and C. This is called first inversion. If we do this again, we have G, C, and then E. This is called second inversion, and doing this one final time would bring us back to C, E, and G, which puts us back into root position. Taking what we've learned so far, let's grab a guitar and start learning how to apply these intervals and hopefully try to wrangle in this mess a little bit. So real quick, let's just go over a couple of the common C major shapes. So we would have just a C bar chord like this, starting on the 5th string. That's one. You can have your bar chord up here, starting on the bottom string of the 8th fret. Although I do bar chords like this, I would be using the thumb for the note on the bottom string. Don't know why, it's just more comfortable for me, that's what I do. There's also this one here that you may not know. This is kind of taking a regular G major chord like this, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sliding that up till we play it in the C position. And you have to hold down the notes that were open strings with your first finger, kind of using your first finger as a capo, and you get this. It's a little bit tricky. I just don't tend to use capos. I just taught myself to compensate by just being able to use the first finger to bar with instead. And going back to just our regular C major, but this is really going to be the focus here that everybody knows, just regular C major. So we're going to start looking at the inversions in this C major. So we're going to be playing these inversions, and the notes are going to be in consecutive order, like I had said earlier. So it's always going to be like a C to an E to a G. There's not going to be any gaps in between. If you added in all the gaps, I mean, you wouldn't be doing inversions necessarily, but then you would have so many different possible positions. There's just way too many to count. So the way that we're going to be doing this is we're going to be crossing all of the strings, and we're going to be starting on the bottom string with our first available chord tone. Now in this case, that's going to be a G, because the C major chord has C, E, and G. So here's how the inversions work here. So starting, it's almost like taking your regular C chord, but put a G at the bottom, and we're going to do the three notes, G, C, and E. This is second inversion because it goes G, C, E, G is the root position, and then E, G, C is first inversion, G, C, E is second inversion. So we're actually starting with a second inversion here, but we have these three, and then we're going up to the next group of strings, and we're doing our next three notes, C, E, and G. Now we're going up to our next group of three strings, and we're doing E, G, C. And then we're going up to our last group of three strings, and we're doing G, C, E. So it's taking that C major chord, and we're just playing it basically 3 strings at a time, and we're adding in that note at the bottom just to kind of keep constant with the pattern of what we're doing. So we have this. Oop, try that again. And it's good to be able to play these back down too, ascending and descending. Now we're going to go back to our bottom string, and we're going to do the same thing with our next highest note within the inversions that we're doing. And so we're starting with C now, 8th fret, bottom string, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do C, E, G, which is root position. Then we're going to do first inversion, which is E, G, C. Second inversion, which is G, C, E. And then back to first inversion, which is going to be, back to root position, which is going to be C, E, G, all the way down here on the 3rd fret. So we have and then being able to play them descending as well. Now, next up, we're going to be going up to the E, and we're going to be starting on the 12th fret, and we're going to start with first inversion here, because we have E, G, C, and then we're going to have second inversion, which is G, C, E, back to root position, which is going to be C, E, G, and then back to first inversion, E, G, C. So all together we have if we were to continue up, we would just get to the octave above where we started down here, which would be I know I kind of switch up and use weird fingerings from time to time, but these take a lot of brain power to remember. I find that the one down here is the hardest. You could probably see me really kind of having a hard time remembering those ones, and that's largely just that has to do with the open strings. I just don't, as I say all the time, I don't care for open strings. I don't really tend to ever use them, and when I do use them, then that happens. So I mean, you should definitely be able to do it, but that's just kind of a glimpse into just some of the ways you can play a C chord, and there's so many. You could take any C, any G, and any E anywhere on the neck, and if you, as long as you play each of those, then you technically have a C chord. So there are so many possibilities that I have no idea how many there actually are. I mean, you may need a computer to figure that out, but fortunately, we're just looking at the inversions there, and these are just a really, really important exercise for you to do, and to just to be able to find these C chords anywhere that you want to find them. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, so I hope this helps.